what I am going to say is that under patriarchy, power is directly attributed. Power is directly attributed to the man, right? Under patriarchy, under a system of patriarchy, the argument goes, power is directly attributed to a man. Under no system, under no circumstance, is it the case that under patriarchy, women are direct recipients of power, right? Power is directly attributed to men in the system of patriarchy, and not to women. Women, under a system of patriarchy, and here's women, women receive their power from men, right? So that women are indirectly powerful. Men have direct power, women under patriarchy are indirectly powerful. And how do we make sense of this? Well, the technical terms is inherent, I-N-H-E-R-E-N-T. Men are inherently powerful beings. And this is not just physical power, right? This is not the ability to lift a heavy object, right? Or move a big rock or something like that. In terms of power, what we're talking about is affluence, right? Affluence and influence and affect, right? The ability to affect a crowd, to sort of structure or shape understandings and conceptions. Men, under the system of patriarchy, are directly or inherently powerful. Women are indirectly or contingently. Women are contingently powerful. To talk about something being contingent is to say that it is dependent on something else, right? So domino 2 in a series of dominoes, the falling of domino 2 is contingent on domino 1 falling, right? Women gain power, right? They gain power, but that power is always transferred to them by a man, right? Or by men. So that women are not the originators. They're not the source of power. They merely reflect power. There's a clearer example to explain this point, right? If you think, for example, about the relationship we have to both, we human beings, have to both the moon and the sun, right? You might not have known this, but now you do. The moon is not a source of light, right? The moon does not generate light. All the moon does is reflect the light of the sun. So in a sense, the moon is nothing more than a massive mirror, right? And you can imagine if I had a mirror here and I had a flashlight here, and I turn the flashlight on and the flashlight were to shine into the mirror, some of that light would be, I'm not sure if it's refracted or reflected or both, but some of that light would be directed to some observer over here. It's exactly the same, right? So the sun is the source of light. All the moon does is reflect the light of the sun to us, right? It's not the source of light. Similarly, with respect to patriarchy and this discussion of power, women are not the source of power. Women do not generate their own power. Women do not have direct power, influence, affect. Men do. Men directly have that power, inherently have that power, and they transfer or transmit. They transfer or transmit that power to the woman. The question is, why would there have to be a transference of power, right? Why would there have to be a transference of power? Because men, being logical as they are, realize that women can give birth to little boys, right? You can give birth to this little man, right? And that this little man is directly powerful. Well, where did that direct power come from? Well, it had to come from this woman, right? And thus, the woman becomes nothing more than a vessel. And this vessel is a vessel which transmits the power of a man to future generations of men. That's really all a woman is there to do. Like the moon is not a source of light and merely reflects the light of the sun, yet the moon has huge importance when it's nighttime. Without the sun, we wouldn't have the light reflected from the moon. Similarly, without the man, we wouldn't have the power eminent within this world, right? Or even so far as to say this universe, right? So that men under a system of patriarchy are inherently powerful. Women under a system of patriarchy are contingently powerful. And what ends up happening is that power is transferred through and to women to the next generation of young boys who will become leaders of the world and so on, right? So in a discussion of patriarchy, it's important to understand this notion of both power and the various forms of oppression, subjugation, defined existence by men, and servitude that women are enslaved in, right? Because that's the argument, that this system of patriarchy becomes another conceptual tool for enslavement. It's important to note, one of my favorite singers, me of course being Jamaican, is Bob Marley, and Bob Marley has a very profound statement, and he says, "Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds," right? So that we are no longer, or few of us, most of us rather, are no longer, because slavery still is existent, right? But most of us are no longer shackled, actual slaves. What governs us, what enslaves us now, according to Marley, according to feminists, are these ideologies that control the way we interpret the world, interpret ourselves in relationship to other people. And emancipating ourselves from those shackles, mental, conceptual shackles, is the real last hope for freedom. There is an attempt, however, to critique patriarchy, and not only critique patriarchy, but critique this idea of gender essentialism, right? Remember the claim that there is only two genders, gender male, gender man or woman, sex male or female. There's an attempt to critique this, and there's many different attempts. The one that I will discuss as a critique of gender essentialism